Hey there, my 5 faithful listeners, and anyone who randomly stumbled upon this episode. My name is Lydia, and this is the Lydia Todd Pod. It's probably not a good idea to start a podcast because your last name rhymes with pod. But I'm here anyways. From spontaneous trips to special guests to deep spiritual conversations and everything in between, expect inspiration, stories, and plenty of laughter. Grab a glass of milk, settle in, and let's dive into the episode. What is up, guys? I am super excited to talk about something a little different this week. Let's talk about study abroad. One of the biggest reasons that I can say that I am a traveled person is because of my experience studying abroad in university. I was a junior, although I did try to go as a sophomore, didn't work, had to go as a junior. I really enjoyed it, and that was where I went to most of the countries I've been to. I've been to 26 countries now. Wow, that's kind of crazy. 26 countries, and I went to 12 for the first time when I studied abroad. You might be thinking, whoa, what kind of program did you do? How did you do that? How long were you there? And I'm going to answer all those questions during this episode. Je suis Lydia, and that's about all I got for my French people out there, but I'm gonna learn more. I will, for you guys. I know that not everyone gets the same opportunities to study abroad. I really wish that everyone got to do what I did. If you are looking for a school with a great study abroad program, this is not sponsored by Freed-Hardeman University, but you should go to Freed-Hardeman University. That is one of there were about, 5 reasons or so of why I picked Freed over a different university, and that was one of them. Their study abroad program is phenomenal, and that's how I went to 12 different countries in 3 months. It was just one semester. They have a campus in Belgium, and it's in this small little town called Verviers, where there is a church there, and they are in communication in relationship with the Christians there. And so on top of the church building, they built a second story, which is where the kitchen is and some of the bedrooms. And then the third floor is a classroom area. And so they have their own physical campus in Belgium. And every semester they take a group of usually between 20 to 30 students, although I think they've taken as many as 35. That could be fact checked. I know that they've brought more than 30. And the time that I went, there were only 16 of us. But that was a different scenario because whenever I studied abroad was right after COVID. It was the first time that Freed sent students again after COVID. And so we were kind of a guinea pig test group. They didn't know if something would happen, we'd have to be sent home. And that's why there were so few students that went. It was awesome. I would totally recommend only going with 16 people. You get to do so much. You grow as a family. You get to know everyone. There are so many benefits to going with a smaller group that I really enjoyed. Just kind of going over my study abroad experience with Freed-Hardeman University. What happens is if you want to go, it costs a little extra over your tuition. Not that much. I'll talk about cost and how I afford to study abroad in my next travel episode. It is not breaking your bank if you think, oh, I could never afford that. If you can afford tuition, then it's not that much more to study abroad at Freed. My experience was so good. We started with applications the year or so before you go, maybe a little less than a year. And if you have a high enough GPA, if you have been a student long enough, or if you have enough hours, and there's a few other requirements, you have to interview and stuff. And whenever they pick the people who are allowed to go, then if you don't make it, you can be put on the wait list for that semester because people usually end up dropping out. Somebody will. Whenever I signed up to go the end of my freshman year, and I was going to go the fall of my sophomore year. However, fall of sophomore year was 2020, so it was canceled. Did not get to go to study abroad, but that was actually kind of great because that's how I ended up becoming besties with my new roommate because of the housing arrangements. They were already settled for the next year, so we had to be put with people that we weren't already rooming with. So all of it turned out for the better. But I thought I wasn't going to get to study abroad. I had worked it into my schedule for my 4 year plan, and I didn't know how I was going to rearrange my classes to make it work. But the year after I had originally applied, I was about to leave campus. It's the end of sophomore year, maybe finals week. I mean, it was the very end. And I was walking around campus, saw a guy that I knew walking around, and he was like, "Hey, I'm studying abroad," or something along those lines. And I was like, "What do you mean? Didn't the deadline already pass? How did you sign up?" He was like, "No, I just signed up. They still have some more spots." And I was like, could I make this work? So within like 24 hours, I had reorganized my whole schedule. I went and talked to the study abroad person and asked if I could get a spot. I had already worked out how I was going to redo my scheduling, I was like, I will take summer classes, whatever it takes. Please let me go. And it worked out. So I got to go the fall of my junior year. Whenever I plan for something, I don't know if you've already gotten the gist of this, but I'm an over planner. I like to say I'm an adequate planner, but to some people it's too much. It's over the top. I do try to plan out every little thing. And so before it got canceled in the fall of sophomore year, I had already planned out what I was going to pack, what I was going to wear, where I wanted to go on my free travels, all this other stuff. I had it all in my notes in a document in my notebook, and I just kind of forgot about it, put it to the side. So I just picked up where I left off. Didn't have to do that much planning the summer before I studied abroad because I had already done it the year before. If it weren't like that, I would have been so stressed, like planning everything out. I would have been like, I only have a couple months to get all this together. That summer, I worked a job and saved up all of my money from that job to be able to spend it on the extra cost of abroad and souvenirs and stuff, plus things I needed like hiking shoes and a hiking backpack that I didn't already have. Whenever you go with Freed-Hardeman University, you are given 3 core classes that you have to take, and then normally you take 1 to 2 more classes while you're there. They bring teachers with you there, so you have some in-person classes, you have one that's on Zoom with a teacher, and then other ones that you do you can individualize or do online depending on what your professors in the States allow you to do. Whenever you go, you have to take our Western Heritage, which is a history class on the heritage of Americans, but all the history all the way back to like the Levant. And that was so cool to get to learn about all of the European history that we had while we were in Europe. We could see the places that we were learning about. That was so cool, and I definitely learned a lot more than I would have just reading it in a textbook. The next class we took was Reformation History, which is a Bible course. I went to a Christian university, so you take a Bible course every semester. And Reformation History is super cool. It's another history class, but it's about specifically church reformation in the early years of the church. All of that happened in Europe where we were. It was wonderful getting to see the different memorials or the different cathedrals and other things built by these people. I mean, we would learn about Charlemagne and then we would go see Charlemagne's cathedral, or we would see his tomb, and it was just so there's no way for me to describe what it is like to learn about something historical and then to be put into that history in real life, to get to experience it. It's kind of like going to an interactive museum, and that's nowhere close, but if you've been to an interactive museum, then that might be a very tiny sliver of an idea of what it's like. So if you ever get the opportunity to learn about something and to go to the places that you're learning about, definitely do it. The third class that we took was conversational French, and that was because we were in Belgium. In the area in Belgium that we were, they are mostly French speaking, although there is a divide in Belgium, which is a country. One of my friends found that out the other day, so just FYI. Belgium is a country. There's a split north and south-ish, like kind of is the boundary. They speak Flemish in half of Belgium and they speak French in the other half. The French is on the southern half near France, and then the Flemish half is towards the Netherlands. And in the Netherlands, they speak Dutch. Flemish is a dialect, or I guess dialect is the right word. It's a dialect of Dutch. So if you speak Dutch, I guess you could probably understand Flemish and vice versa, but they're not exactly the same. I don't know how distinct they are, how different they are. In my head, it's kind of like Spain Spanish and Latin American Spanish, but maybe it's more different or maybe it's less different. Not really sure. Do some research on that if you're going to try to learn Flemish or Dutch. That is the languages that I was surrounded by the most. Although we traveled so much, we also were around German and Swiss and Spanish and Italian and Greek and a little bit of English, but it was so wonderful to be immersed in the other cultures and to get to be surrounded by, I mean, you could be sitting on a train and you could hear 5 different conversations in 5 different languages, and as an American, not know at all what they're saying, which is so sad. I'm a very big advocate in language learning while you're young, and if you're in America and you're not actually taught a language, I mean, like you took some language classes, but it was just elective or just so you could get credit so you could graduate and it wasn't actual language learning, then I would suggest going and taking some language classes. The younger you are, the better, the easier it is to learn. Why is the FHU abroad program the best ever? Well, one, because of all the reasons I've already told you. I mean, 12 countries in 3 months. It's an affordable cost. It's all organized and led by the professors in the university, so it's safe. It's a good, like, friendly environment. You're around other people who had the same culture experiences as you, so whenever you are feeling overwhelmed or missing home, that is a great aspect of abroad. And you'll never have another time. If you are considering studying abroad, you will never have another time in your life where you can just drop everything for 3 months and study and travel the world and it not affect your timeline. Because if you study abroad, you are also accomplishing the normal tasks that you would be doing. You would be studying in the States for 3 months, so why not do what you're already doing in a different culture? That has no downside. If you are not into traveling, then I'm sorry. No, if you're not into traveling, then maybe study abroad is not for you. But if you like the idea of traveling, or if you like the idea of experiencing a new culture or doing something crazy while you're young and don't have a reason not to go, then definitely find a college or university that has a great study abroad program. Let's go over packing. What to bring while you are abroad. I packed in 1 suitcase, 1 carry-on, 1 personal item, although on the way there, my suitcase was half empty and my carry-on was half empty. And so I didn't really bring that much over. On the way back, everything was full to the brim and to the max for all the weight limits. It was an interesting venture on the way back, carrying more weight than how much I weigh. I'll let you guess how much. It was so much weight, but it was worth it. For packing, I am going to go through the things that I thought were necessary to pack. I don't regret bringing any of the things that I brought, and there's not really anything that I think I shouldn't have brought. You might need to pack differently depending on the season you're going. So if you're going in the spring, this packing list might not work exactly for you. I went in the fall. Nevertheless, here it is. For clothes, I brought 1 pair of hiking shoes, my Columbia hiking boots. They were what I wore almost every day. I also brought 1 pair of white Adidas sneakers and 1 pair of Chacos, and that was it. I used my Chacos for if I needed shower shoes. I also went in the Mediterranean Ocean once and I wore them in that. And other than that, they were just kind of like house shoes. These sneakers I didn't wear as often, but if we were going on a day trip from the facility or if we were going somewhere where I knew I wasn't going to walk as much, I would wear them. Or if I wanted to dress nicer. But for the most part, my Columbia hiking shoes were the go-to. I wore them almost every single day abroad. They lasted so well. I would definitely suggest in investing in a good pair of hiking shoes, or else your feet will hurt so bad. We were walking. I don't want to sound ridiculous, but there were days where we walked 30 miles, or like at least the equivalent. That's what my watch was telling me, at least. If you are going, especially with the Freed-Hardeman group abroad, be ready to walk a lot. It's so worth it. You get to see so much. Europe is so walkable, which is kind of mind-boggling for someone who grew up in a place where you have to drive everywhere you go. It's so walkable. You can just walk from place to place to place, and you can take trains and stuff to get everywhere. You definitely need a good pair of walking shoes. Also brought wool socks. I think I had 3 pairs. And make sure that you have some thick ones and thin ones depending on the weather. You won't want to be sweating all the time, but you won't want your feet to be cold. Bring some other socks. I think I brought enough socks for a week or maybe 2 weeks. And then I brought enough undergarments for 2 weeks. If you're female, make sure you bring sports bras and normal bras. That is a necessary item. Bring leggings so that you can layer for warmth whenever it gets colder. Bring jeans. I brought 3 pairs of jeans. I brought one light blue pair, one black pair, and one dark blue pair. I should have only brought 2. I really only needed 2, but 3, I still wore 3, but I could have made do without the 3rd pair. But definitely bring 2 different colors or 3 different colors so that way you can mix and match everything. I loved my black jeans, they match everything. Bring 3 t-shirts. You want things that don't have writing on them. You want things that are dark colored or at least a neutral color. You don't want to stand out. Most people in Europe are wearing things like tans, blacks, grays, whites. I would stray away from white because you'll be sweating a lot. You also can use your t-shirts as something to sleep in, and so then you don't have to bring extra pajamas. Bring 2 long sleeve base shirts, things that you can wear underneath your other clothing. I definitely had to layer towards the very end of study abroad. It got really cold, and so I was wearing a thin layering shirt, and then I was wearing a t-shirt on top of it, and then a sweater or sweatshirt on top of that, and then my jacket. Make sure that you bring things that can layer and look nice with layering. Bring 4 sweaters. Turtleneck advised. You don't have to bring things with turtleneck if you feel like you don't like it, but it usually looks nicer than a normal shirt, so it can dress up easily, and it's easy to layer on top of turtlenecks, and it keeps your neck warm whenever it gets cold. I think I brought 3 sweaters and 2 sweatshirts. I should have only brought 1 sweatshirt though, because I ended up buying a sweatshirt when I got there. I only wore 2 most of the time, even though I had 3. Make sure that you have 2 jackets or a 2-in-1 jacket, but you need something to keep you warm and something to keep you dry. If that ends up being the same jacket, great, but you're not going to want to wear your warm jacket whenever it's really hot when you first get there, or really hot when you're towards the end of your trip if it's in the spring. There are some that have the 2-in-1, so it's a jacket where they zip together and they become one jacket. That is an option. I ended up buying a rain jacket, or bringing a rain jacket I already had, and then whenever I got there, I went to my favorite store in the world, Decathlon, and bought a puffer jacket for, I think it was 35 euros, and it is so good. I still have it. I still wear it. It's a black puffer, and it fit all my needs. It's a very thin one, so I could wear another jacket over it, or I could wear stuff under it, and I could wear my rain jacket over it. You're going to want to have a scarf. I did not bring a scarf, but I bought a scarf while I was there. You're going to need a pair of gloves, a toboggan, or some kind of hat that you can wear to keep your head warm. And I brought 2 dresses, but if you're not a dress person, don't try to become a dress person abroad, because you'll just have 2 dresses that you brought for no reason. You will not become a dress person just because you're in another country. I tried it. I only wore the dresses that I brought once each, and it was really sad. They were just wasting space. It would be fine if I were a dress person. I did bring a skirt that I wore a lot with my black turtleneck. It was a pretty good bring, but the dresses, they were casual ones that I would wear to school, but I would also wear to a nicer event if you put like a denim jacket on over it. but I wish I wouldn't have brought them. So do with that what you will. Toiletries, you're going to need your toothpaste, your toothbrush, your shampoo, conditioner, medicine, travel razors, headbands, ponytails, dry shampoo. If you have some travel size dry shampoo, make sure that you bring travel bottles so that whenever you are packing for your day trips or your week trips from wherever you're staying, that you are able to fly, because sometimes you might only bring a carry-on and you have to only bring travel size items. So if you bring a huge thing of shampoo over with you to last you the whole 3 months, that's fine. Put it in your suitcase on the way there. While you're there, you're going to need to pour some into a small travel size container so that you can carry it through the airports. You're also going to need a day bag, so some kind of backpack or purse bag. Some people bring fanny packs, but I really, really liked having a small backpack. I got mine from Decathlon. If you can't tell, it's my favorite store. It did the job well. I carried my 2 Greek textbooks around and my laptop and all of the other things that I was carrying all the time in it, and I still had plenty of space to carry it. And like if I was packing lunch for the day, I would totally suggest a small backpack. It's also nice because it helps with pickpocketing and stuff, because you can turn the backpack around, wear it on the front if you are ever in a high traffic area. You also should bring some carabiner clips, and if you do that, try to get the twist ones that you can securely close. But these are so key because you can clip things to your bag. So I clip my jackets to my bag, my water bottle to my bag, anything really that will clip, I will clip it to my bag. And that saves you space from packing it inside your bag because that doesn't really count against the packing rules of airports and stuff. It also is just nice to have a clip because sometimes you might just need one. If you ever make bracelets with the string, you can clip the carabiner clip on your backpack, like on the top hook thing, and then you can tie your bracelet around the carabiner clip, and you can be making a bracelet on your backpack on the carabiner clip, and then whenever you're done, you just slip it off. It's so nice. I don't know if any of you are into bracelet making, but tips. You should bring a water bottle, and sometimes you can get those bladder bags where they go in your backpack. Those are really nice, are the ones that you can drink with that weird straw thing out of the bag. I didn't have one of those, but I did bring 2 water bottles. I had one that was like a Yeti, and then I had a packable water bottle from, guess, my favorite store, Decathlon. And the packable water bottle is so cool because you fill it up with water, it stands up, and it holds all your water. But then when you drink it all, you can squeeze all the air out, close the top of the container, and then it's really small and compact, and then I can just stick it in my backpack. I would suggest carrying at least one, if not 2 things to hold water for you. You will need to stay hydrated while you're there. 2 other things that you definitely need. One is Ziploc bags. You will need them for if you're maybe carrying snacks, food, batteries, small like things like earrings that you don't want to get lost. If you are going through airport security, you might need some quart-sized Ziploc bags. So I would just bring like a small box of those Ziplocs you can buy from Walmart. You'll be pretty much good to go. The last thing that I will suggest you absolutely need to bring is a portable phone charger. You can bring more than one. I brought 2, and I was using both of them some days because you're going to be on your phone taking pictures, trying to connect to Wi-Fi, loading a map, all of these things, and you're going to need to have access to your phone. You're in a foreign country. You don't want to be stranded alone and not have a phone battery. So bring phone chargers and your portable chargers. You also will need to look into, which we'll go over this in a later travel episode, but you're going to need to look into the power adapters in the country you're going to. And if you use a different adapter in the wall, then you're going to have to buy some kind of converter adapter. If you are going from America to the EU, you're going to need an EU adapter plus a converter because our wattage is different and you don't want to blow up your device, especially if you're bringing something like a curling wand or something. And if you are doing study abroad with Freed-Hardeman University, they have a lot of things already there. Like they have plenty of extra backpacks and chargers and assortments of things. They have board games and all this stuff at campus already. So there's some things that you don't need to get, or you can wait till you get there, see if there's any, and then go to Decathlon down the street and buy it if they don't have any. and it will be very inexpensive. So I wouldn't worry too much about little things. For the things that you need to pack and bring, definitely all of the clothing things that I said to bring, but don't overpack. Don't bring way more than what I said. You might think, that's so little, like that's max 1 week of clothing. That's all you need. You'll be doing laundry, it's fine. You don't need to bring 4 suitcases worth of clothes over because you're going to want to buy things there and you're going to want to bring stuff back. That would cost way too much to check that many bags, and you just need some souvenir room. You deserve it. That's what you should pack. I'm so glad that I studied abroad, and I grew so much as a person. I learned so much about other cultures, about myself, about doing life on my own. I mean, when you're in university is when you are learning to start to be more independent, and going to another country forces you to do that in ways that you might not have the opportunity until you're out on your own to do. So what I learned while I was abroad was way more than just the classes. I learned how to approach a situation that I didn't understand or didn't know what was going on and deal with the consequences. I learned how to be very frugal, very smart with my money, how to be around sketchy situations and danger, how to avoid things like pickpocketing. There's so much more that you learn from just the culture and the new experience than just the classroom setting. I am a huge advocate for studying abroad if you have the chance, because you, one, will get to experience something that, I mean, it's a privilege to be able to do something like this. So if you have that privilege, don't waste it. If you do go, you are going to come away from that experience with such a broader perspective of the world and the people in it. And that's going to allow you to live a better life full of love and compassion for other people, and to, burst your own little bubble and grow your horizons, expand your grasp of everyday life. That's pretty much all I have for this study abroad episode. What is it? What should you pack? What is the Freed-Hardeman experience like? If you have any questions about any of those 3 things, then feel free to shoot me a DM or to send me an email at thelydiastodd@gmail.com. I would just say takeaways from this: don't overpack, don't overthink, just do it, and enjoy, while you can, the awesome experience of studying abroad. As we wrap up this episode of the Lydia Todd Pod, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for you spending time with me. This really challenges my belief that I only have 5 consistent listeners. If you have any thoughts, topics, or questions you'd like me to explore further on future episodes, please reach out on one of my socials. I hope that our conversations have brought you inspiration and joy. If you have friends or family who might be interested in our conversations, don't hesitate to share the podcast with them.